Hello, my name is AJ Fox. I use they, them pronouns. I am the Director of Religious Education here at First UU. I'm a pale, freckled human with red hair wearing some blue and green today. It's kind of earthy, right? I think it's just chance. There is talk of earth and transformation today. About where we are from, where we are going, and all the messiness we find along our way. Some of us have been gathered over the last 2 weeks to talk poetry in honor of April and National Poetry Month and the coming Earth Day. Our first collection of poems came from a variety of earth and place-related prompts. So this is one that I wrote, and then we'll be hearing from some other people. The eddy on the creek is shifting. 1, 2, 3, 4 feet out. There is now a thin little moon sliver of rocky land in the middle, an Anna branch. In August of 2014, when I sat on the creek wall, dry summer rocks, and watched spiders in the shade, and thought about the way Ferguson was on fire and why Michael Brown had been shot, it didn't have an Anna branch. That's the name for it. When a creek splits, comes back together, makes a little island where there wasn't one. Creeks do that. They move. This creek has moved. An eddy carved out by high floods, a bite in the path. And that's where it sits. The unknowable question, water and time outside human scale. The crinoids in rocks tell me that this place is bigger. And also I wonder if the bigger hail, the polar vortexes, the hurricanes that exceed scale, are the why of the bifurcated creek, the water that exceeds the walls. If the creek that moved in the last decade, that didn't have an Anna branch there in 2014, is as human a creation as Ferguson. And now Colleen will be sharing.
I'm Colleen Appel. I use she, her pronouns. For Earth Day, I'm wearing a jacket embroidered with flowers. I really enjoyed labeling the plants on the church lawn last week, and following that event, I was excited to find an article by Mary Jane Butters that listed the names of flowers you can eat. So I set out to find a poem in her words, and it's called A Feast of Flowers, a found poem. Nibble a flower's petals, taste as tantalizing as their color and scent. Pick blooms from spicy to nectar sweet. Popular in Victorian times, one fanciful recipe calling for a peck of flowers, pounded with lady fingers, 3 pints of cream, 16 eggs, and rose water. Today, the finest restaurants reinvent floral food, scattering violets atop savory salads, infusing cakes with hints of rose, crusting meats with lavender petals. Edible flowers bloom abundantly in gardens and lawns: nasturtium, chamomile, and clover, dandelion, daylily, and lilac, hibiscus, marigold, and squash. Elevate an ordinary dish with minced petals, or fancy up a cool drink with whole blossoms: lavender lemonade, stuffed squash flowers, rose petal scones, and pansy crisps. Flowers are a feast for the senses. My next poem was inspired by the words of Thich Nhat Hanh found in the book, How to Live When a Loved One Dies. His quote, "When we walk, we can take the hand of our loved one who has passed away and walk with them. Our legs are their legs and our eyes are their eyes." My poem is called Walking Meditation. I announced I was starting a walking group and invited my friends, thinking I was more likely to remain faithful to my hike if it were a public expectation. And it has been true. On the mornings of our walk, I may grumble and consider a long list of other things to do. But I lace my hiking boots, grab my walking poles, and greet my friends at the trailhead. I have found walking is better with others. With them, I exist only in the present, chattering about some shared excitement or trail discovery. With them, I am not ruminating about my sorrows nor weeping for a loss. So on my next hike, I shall invite my daughter too, the one who has passed away, and walk with her. Together, we will scramble up the rock overlooking the lake, pause to admire a wildflower, lift our eyes to the sky to watch geese passing overhead. My legs, my eyes are hers. Emily?
My name is Emily McKinney. I use she, her pronouns. I am a mid-30s white woman with, it's been described as mermaid hair. It's long and wavy and dark auburn, wearing a oatmeal colored fuzzy sweater and black pants. I am reading a poem written in the workshops this month by member Michael Rodriguez. On the silvery wings do fly, a moth to candle goes by. This is but a root of Gaia. Nature brings life into view. May Mother of all come to see. Coexistence, people are learning. Where some may think they rule, many realize that they are apart. And we must all live together, with not just each other as humans. Like life is imbued like the moth above, and throughout the very air itself, as the sunshine, like a small flame, feeds our sense all forms of life. Like in the biggest whale or mountain, to the small ember of flame or moth, these are the many forms nature has imbued for all to see.
And at this point in the workshop series, we switched over to talking about transformation using a UU World article that's called, I think, Shedding Our Skin, that came out in this edition of the UU World. So most of you probably receive this thing in your mailbox once every quarter or so. This maybe every 6 months now? I don't know. They keep cutting it further and further down because they think about the earth and stuff. And we are going to hear a version of that article a little later in the service, but we wanted to share the poems that came from that article now. So this is my transformation and shedding and skin bug related poem. Age 3, a yellow moth for Halloween. To her credit, Mom played along. Remnants of mustard yellow upholstery fabric, carved cardboard wings. Age 6, carefully curated fluffy exoskeletons of moths, shiny remnants of crickets, huge rhinoceros beetles. The crowning jewel was the downy, soft Luna moth Dad brought home from a job site. But the cicadas were the most precious, their shells and bodies mismatched, matching parts. Early 20s, the cicada wave came. Hard and fast, everywhere their crunchy shells and vibrating bodies, a glass jar of the collected shells on a bedroom shelf, visual metaphor for seasons of growth. Mid-20s, drunkard beetles chasing after carport light, dog chasing after drunkard beetles as they careened and skittered across the concrete floor. Visuals of my own under-earth suffocation. Late 20s, pink and yellow cotton candy rosy maple moth on the edge of the cabin while I wait for life to sort itself out, wondering how something so flamboyant even has a place in nature. Now is the season of garden bugs, praying mantis, assassin beetle, walking the tomatoes, tiny warriors, of so many short conversations. If they ain't doing nothing to you, you ain't doing nothing to them, to all the children learning morals in the muddy playground of our yard. Now the cicadas are still underground, or maybe screaming from the trees. They are just out of reach in this new season of busy stillness. And each morning, I consider bird watching as a potential midlife crisis.
I use poetry writing to figure out the things that I don't know. So I took AJ's article, the article AJ provided, to think about a personal issue and how I'm relating it to a climate future. I called it What the Caterpillar Knows. It is the lesson of the snake and the caterpillar that whenever their growth makes their skin too tight and small, they shed their whole covering, beginning at the head with just a small breach of the old skin, and then the wriggling begins, a casting off of all that constricts growth, a new body emerging like shoot rising from soil. I am finding myself at my own constriction, that place where my skin is too small for my own becoming. With the passing of my parents, our family farm is being sold, none of us 5 siblings having remained in Iowa to operate it. My own skin breached by the remembering that, although I'd married a farmer, this farm was for a son and never to be mine. Skin split open by regret. Now there's the wriggling. The farm is being sold to 3 hard-working young brothers, our small attempt to hold off a corporate takeover. But there is more to wrestle with at the intersection of land justice and food. Might I wriggle free from my white people's message of self-reliance? An idea too small and rigid for the climate future that faces us. Standing at a global threshold, I consider how to make community blossom and a climate resilient future emerge. I have many skins to shed, old identities, habits, and reliances. May I remember what a caterpillar learns about growth and cast off those things that do not serve the interdependence we will need to survive. Let a new skin meet the light of day. Emily?
Now we will share A Time for Transformation by Kate R. Walker. This is a responsive reading that has beautiful prose. The congregation is called to respond in the spirit of our third principle, which uplifts acceptance of one another and encouragement to spiritual growth in our congregations. After each part that I read, you all are invited to respond. We pledge to transform our lives. For our Earth, our ancient mother, blue-green planet of the galaxy, harbinger of lives beyond measure, we honor you with our humble presence. We bow with humility and gratitude. We pledge to transform our lives. For the plants that have sustained our bodies, wheat, corn, peas, tomatoes, peppers, and beans, for the live species providing rich protein, fishes, poultry, pigs, and beef. We offer our thanks for the circle of life. We pledge to transform our lives. For the waters that give us daily life, from ocean depth to rocky cliffs, from Arctic ice to beaches and small streams, from lofty cloud to precious cup at our lips, we remember our dependence. We pledge to transform our lives. For the mountains rising to challenge our greatest aspirations, for the deserts transformed in a torrent of rain, for the forests thick with trunks marked by rings of wisdom, for roots interconnected web, for the new life within the heart of a seed, our souls respond in awe. We pledge to transform our lives. For the millions of species microscopic in the soils under our feet, to the pads, paws, and multi-toed, for the feathers and scales, for minuscule eyes open only under the moon's soft guidance, and for the lichens and mosses pushing onto the leaves and rocks, we honor your existence. We pledge to transform our lives. For all of us descendants of the first primates, for those who sleep under the same blessed skies, for those who breathe the same oxygen feeding our heart, for those who need love as much as I, and for those who yearn for the ease of companions' release, we remember we are not alone. We pledge to transform our lives.